we have discussed about the basic structure of the glomeruli, and now we will start the pathogenesis of the glomerular disorders. Before going to that, I will just tell the classification of glomerular disorder. In classification, it can be classified into three broad groups. One is primary. In primary, there is no secondary disorder. The disease lies in the kidney. Examples are acute proliferative glomerulonephritis or acute post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, then precentric glomerulonephritis, membranous glomerulonephritis, membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis, minimal change disease, and also there will be heavy chain diseases, and there can be heavy deposit diseases. There can be also focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. Then there will be the secondary. In secondary, there will be some diseases. As a result of those diseases, there will be changes in the kidney. Commonly, like diabetes mellitus, hypertension, amyloidosis, SAB, and also subacute bacterial endocarditis. So these disorders will give rise to kidney changes. And thirdly, there can be some congenital changes. And congenital changes like Alport syndrome, Fabry's disease, etc. So glomerular disorder can be primary, can be secondary, and can be congenital. Now we are coming into the pathogenesis. In pathogenesis, we will mainly concern about the primary changes, but also there in the secondary cases also there will be that type of changes. Now the basic pathogenesis of glomerular diseases occurring as a result of immune mediated. So that means there will be antigen and antibody reaction. So what will be the changes? Now if this antigen and antibody reaction can occur at different level. Suppose there can be some antigens which are present over the glomerulus, and there will be development of circulating antibody. So circulating antibody will act over those antigens. Or there can be circulating antigen antibody complex. That complex can be deposited in the glomerulus. So we can divide it into two broad groups. Either it is antibody mediated or it is immune complex mediated. So either antibody mediated or immune complex mediated. Now this antibody mediated. Now these antibody can develop against the autoantigen of glomeruli. In that case particularly can be against mesangial antigen, can be against the endothelial antigen, but commonly it will appear usually against the glomerular basement membrane. So this is autoreactive antibody formation. Secondly, there can be some planted antigen. The kidney, through kidney, all the blood are passing. So in our body there can be numerous exogenous or endogenous antigens. Those antigens are gradually passing through kidney, and some of them may choose kidney to stick to some parts of the kidney. So they will stick there, and then the corresponding antibody will be fixed there. So in that case, there will be in situ immune complex formation. So in situ immune complex formation will occur in antibody mediation, and that immune complex formation can occur as a result of autoantigen or as a result of planted antigen. So antibody mediated can be divided into two. One is So one is autoantigen and another is planted antigen, isn't it? Now the planted antigen, that can be again divided into two. Either it can be exogenous or it can be endogenous. Endogenous means, we have already told you that the nuclear proteins, being cationic proteins, they usually deposit in the kidney. So they are the important endogenous proteins. So DNA, other non-DNA nuclear proteins, they can be easily deposited over, planted over the kidney and can evoke an immune reaction. Exogenous means different organisms, bacteria, viruses, and also drugs. They can be deposited over the kidney and act like a planted antigen and can evoke an antigen antibody reaction. Okay? Again, antibody can develop directly against some component of the kidney itself. So there will be deposition or local immune complex formation. Or there can be development of antibody or circulating antibody against some planted antigens which are secondarily planted to the kidney, and they again can be divided into two. Either they are endogenous or they are exogenous. Okay? So third group is immune complex. So in this case, just remember the type 3 hypersensitivity general pathology. Yes, unless you think about this thing, you cannot remember. So immune complex reaction, that means a type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. So there will be some antigen which is circulating within the circulation for a prolonged period. There will be formation of antibody, and then there will be antigen antibody complex formation. And that antigen antibody complex will be filtered through kidney, and during filtration, depending upon the weight, they can be also deposited in any part of the glomerulus. And so then they will evoke their local reaction or immune complex reaction. So again think about those things. Whenever the size of the immune complex will be very large, then they will be cleared by the phagocytic cells. They will not get the chance to deposit in the kidney. Whenever the size of the deposit is very small, or the immune complex is very small, in that case they can easily filter through the kidney. They will not get deposited in the kidney. So the size, when the antigen and antibody is present almost in equal concentration, in that case the size of the complex will be moderate, and in that case there will be chance of deposition. And again, depending upon the law of charge, the more cationic substances has got the more chance to be deposited into the kidney. And if you again think, suppose if a charge is highly cationic, then where that will be deposited? It will come through the endothelial cells. It is cationic charge. There is some iso, it will enter into the basement membrane. It can either deposit in the basement membrane, producing an intramembranous deposit, or even it can go further. Then where it will deposit? Below the basement membrane. So that is known as subepithelial deposit. So a highly cationic deposit will produce either a membranous deposit or a subepithelial deposit. And whereas an anionic deposit, anionic immune complex, if it gets chance to be deposited, then it can only go up to the subendothelial level. It cannot cross the basement membrane. So there will be subendothelial deposit. And if it is neutrally charged, then they will go into the mesangium. So there will be mesangial deposit. So depending upon the charge, the deposit can be located in different parts. Okay. So this part is clear. Now we are clear that due to any cause, either due to planted antigen or due to in situ antigen or due to circulating immune complex, either there is deposition of antigen antibody or immune complex over some part of the glomeruli. Now what will be the next stage? Whenever there will be antigen antibody tissue deposition, there will be activation of the alternative complement pathway. So there will be activation of complement, and complement will produce membrane attack complex. So there will be injury to the glomeruli. But not only that, complement will release the opsonizing substances. Complement will also release the chemotactic substances. So there will be entry of the cells. Which cells will come? Neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, and macrophages. So they will reach there, and then there will be also entry of the lymphocytes, because there can be also cellular immunity. So as a result of cellular immunity activation, the T cytotoxic cells will also reach there. So all these cells, when they will reach, there will be also activation of the arachidonic acid metabolic pathway. There will be release of cytokines. There will be release of chemokines. So all these things will give rise to glomerular injury. So it starts with immune complex deposition. Then as a result of immune complex deposition, there will be complement activation. And then there will be opening up the door of the hell. And through that open door of the hell, one by one, the killing substances are coming. The microphagocytes are coming. The macrophagocytes or macrophages are coming. The T lymphocytes are coming. They are liberating different cytokines. They are liberating different chemokines. There will be activation of the arachidonic acid metabolite, and so there will be cross injury. And if suppose it occurs as a result of infection, and so the infective substance immune complex will be deposited there, and they will be phagocytes by the phagocytous soil, and gradually the infectivity will be less, and gradually the infection will come to, so the anti-glomerular inflammation will cease down, and that typically occurs with post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, where there will be usually after some time there will be cessation of the inflammation. But suppose there is a continuous supply of the immune complex, as may occur easily in SLE. So there will be continuous destruction of the cell, continuous liberation of the DNA and non-histone proteins. So there will be continuous deposition of the immune complex and ongoing inflammation and ongoing destruction. So some of the glomerular diseases are going on, and some of the glomerular diseases are again restricted. Okay? Now the thing is that what are the glomerular changes you see as a result of this? Number one, cellularity. So the cellularity will be increased. Why the cellularity will be increased? First, there will be proliferation of the endothelial cells, because there will be so much cytokines and all these things. Second, there will be proliferation of the mesangial cells. So this is mesangial capillary reaction. So mesangial cells and endothelial cells will be increased. The third one, there will be infiltration of the inflammatory cells. A lot of inflammatory cells will also coming into the glomeruli. And the fourth one, which is very rare, sometimes the inflammation is so intense that the visceral and the parietal layer of the epithelial cells are also getting stimulated and proliferated, producing crescent. So there will be crescentic glomerular. So crescent will be formed when there will be cellular proliferation of the epithelial layer, epithelial proliferation of the epithelial cells, and whereas normally the cellularity is increased as a result of mesangial and endothelial proliferation and infiltration of the cells. These are the cellular. Next, glomerular basement membrane thickening. Usually the antigens are usually deposited over glomerular basement. So as a result of deposition, there will be also complement deposition, and there will be also other inflammatory cells, and so there will be more glomerular basement membrane substance synthesis, and so there will be thickening of the glomerular basement membrane. And in this case, if you examine under immunofluorescent microscopy, you will see that there will be deposition of the immunofluorescent C3 and also immunoglobulin. There will be deposition of the immunoglobulin and also the complements that you can see by fluorescent microscopy. And now think about the glomerular basement membrane. Now suppose there is anti-glomerular basement membrane antibody formation. So that means there are presence of antibodies in the blood, and there is presence of antigens which are de novo to the glomeruli over the whole length of the glomeruli. So the antibodies will be deposited along the whole length of the glomeruli similarly, and whenever they will be deposited, so they will produce a linear fluorescence. So if you see under fluorescent microscopy, the fluorescence will look like, so there will be linear fluorescence, and which is continuously thick, continuous and thick. So as a result of anti-glomerular basement membrane antibody, there will be linear deposition of an immunoglobulin over the glomerular basement membrane. Now think about some planted antigens. These planted antigens are deposited over the glomeruli, so their distribution will be patchy. So the immune complex formation or deposition will be also patchy. So what will be the staining? The staining pattern, it will be also throughout the whole length, but it will be granular. So instead of this linear deposition of glomerular basement membrane, you will see granular. So basement membrane thickening can produce immunofluorescence under immunofluorescent microscopy, and that can be either granular, or that is interrupted, or that can be linear smooth. Okay, depending upon the particular type of antibody that we are using. So cellularity changes, thickening of the basement membrane, and number 3 is hyalinosis. Hyalinosis means deposition of the plasma protein over the endothelial and epithelial cell region of a glomerulus. Another thing occurs which is known as sclerosis. Sclerosis in a glomeruli means there will be extra synthesis of glomerular basement membrane. Extra synthesis of mesangial matrix and deposition of that matrix over the mesangial region. So sclerosis occurs in the mesangial region, and hyalinosis occurs in the epithelial and endothelial region. Okay. So there will be 4 types of glomerular changes: cellularity changes, changes in the basement membrane, hyalinosis, and sclerosis. Okay. And the last part which we will discuss, there are 4 terminologies which are used to describe the glomerular pathology. Number 1 is diffuse. Second is focal. Third is global. And the fourth is segmental. Diffuse involvement of glomeruli means almost all the glomeruli in a kidney are involved. Okay. Focal involvement of glomeruli means few of the glomeruli in a kidney are involved. Okay. Global involvement of glomeruli means almost all the tufts of glomeruli in a single nephron is involved or are involved. That means within a single kidney, within a single nephron, almost all the tufts of glomeruli, if it is involved, then we will tell that it is the global involvement of that glomeruli. And segmental means when some of the tufts are involved. So diffuse, whole kidney, focal, whole kidney, then global, one nephron, and segmental is one nephron. Okay. So again I am repeating, the basic pathogenesis occurs as a result of immune complex deposition. This immune complex deposition can occur as a result of antibodies or as a result of immune complex itself. These antibodies can be directly against some antigens of the glomeruli, particularly glomerular basal membrane, or there can be against the planted antigens. These planted antigens can be endogenous, can be exogenous. And this immune complex deposition can occur depending upon the charge and size. And then whenever they will be deposited, they will activate the complement, and then there will be also other cells will come, and all these things will give rise to intense inflammatory reaction with destruction of the tissue. And if the supply is short-lived, then there will be recovery. If the supply of the immune complex is prolonged, then the inflammation will go for prolonged. This is just simple. Think about this thing. Don't make it complicated. Think about simple. This is the simple approach, the pathogenesis of all the glomerular deficiencies. Okay, thank you very much.